commander-in-chief of Ukraine's military has confirmed that his forces are retreating from the city of Avdiivka in the Donetsk Republic. The strategic location has seen months of relentless battles, with Kiev's troops reported to have taken massive losses.
Based on the operational situation around Avdiivka, in order to avoid encirclement and preserve the lives and health of servicemen, I decided to withdraw our units from the city and move to defense on more favorable lines.
Well, let's cross live this Saturday to RT's Igor Zhdanov in the neighbouring Lugansk Republic. Morning to you, Igor. Yeah, pretty sizable developments on the ground. Take us through that and indeed the significance.
Well, absolutely, Ewan. And again, if true, this would be a major development on the front line. I'm saying if true because the Russian command is yet to confirm that indeed its nemesis has retreated from this strategic point. But again, we have seen reports, and we've talked to men on the ground, to our sources on the ground, who have been saying that the fighting indeed has been relentless. And if the Ukrainian forces have decided to abandon Avdiivka, that would be a major development due to several reasons. First and foremost, it would be a first move of this kind on behalf of the Ukrainian forces in over a year. In fact, we haven't seen anything of the sort since their withdrawal and pullout of the town of Lysychansk in the Lugansk Republic back in 2022. Now, even one of the most bloodiest battles of this conflict, the battle for the city of Bakhmut, now Artyomovsk, despite all advice that they got from their NATO allies, from pleas from mothers, sisters and relatives, just families, friends of those who were there on the Bakhmut front line, they decided to hold their ground, and even then they lost that town. So the decision to pull out of Avdiivka is something that we haven't seen in quite a while. Also, at the same time, remember that Avdiivka is literally a Donetsk suburb. To an unfamiliar person might not even notice that they already left Donetsk and entered in Avdiivka. So that's a town that's very, very close to this major city. And that was often from where Donetsk civilians were shelled. So if the Russian troops managed to push Ukrainian forces further away from Avdiivka, then that would make the city of Donetsk much safer, and it would be able to finally breathe a gulp of fresh air, so to speak, because cheap artillery shells would be the city would be simply out of range for cheap artillery shells. Also, a big thing to look out for is where the front line will basically stretch, along which redoutes, along which towns and villages, because right now it is unclear where exactly the Ukrainian forces prepared the fallback positions. So again, we are yet to see if the Russian troops will just be satisfied with taking the Avdiivka town, because after all, there's plenty to be done there. There has been chaos in the ranks of the Ukrainian forces, reported by themselves from leaked videos. They lost radio. There was radio silence on the positions of many units. So many units maybe they didn't get the command to withdraw. Maybe they simply were too encircled already to pull out, to do that safely. Of course, there's a lot to be done to clear Avdiivka of any presence of the Ukrainian forces. That is the task that seems to be in front of the Russian armed forces right now. But again, we'll have to see if the Russian command will want to capitalize on this and will try to push and send Ukrainian forces running and fleeing further.
Laying out what could be a key moment in the conflict, RT correspondent Igor Zhdanov. Well, Ukraine's military has released this unverified footage. Thick plumes of smoke can be seen rising over what appears to be a major chemical factory in Avdiivka, the largest, indeed, coke processing plant of its kind in Europe. Former CIA analyst Laurie Johnson says Kiev's troops have been outmanned and outgunned in the key city.
First, most important point is to have trained military personnel that know how to operate combined arms. What that means is that, say you're a soldier in the trench, but you've got radio communication that you could call in Air Force, the air power, a plane to come in and carry out a strike, except Ukraine doesn't have any aircraft to do that. You could call for a helicopter. Whoops, another problem. Ukraine doesn't have that. You could try to coordinate artillery fire and tank fire and mortar fire. And yes, Ukraine's got very limited ammunition on that. But the problem as well is in the West. The West can't produce it. The West, the industrial capability of the West has been hollowed out, and they've shifted much of their ability to produce those kinds of armaments to other places overseas. So it's not a matter of flipping a switch and having the United States magically supply some 155 millimeter artillery rounds. So across the board, you're looking at Ukraine with depleted manpower, chaotic leadership, and not enough ammunition.